Hi. If you already read Tarot or Lenormand, you may think you already know how to approach Kipper. But one of the biggest mistakes new Kipper readers make is to try to make Kipper behave like another card system. Hi, I am Michelle, the Mystic Channeler, and I am going to discuss today how to approach reading Kipper cards. And I know that many of us, whenever we first start, think we know how to use Kipper cards and we become afraid of Kipper cards after a while. But hopefully, this video will show you a technique that you can use while you read Kipper cards and give you the confidence and that you need to do some awesome readings. All right, let's go ahead and get started. All right. I absolutely love the Kipper cards. I just want to tell you that right now. It is very close to Lenormand. However, they have so many more characters. And whenever I first looked at the Kipper cards because of all the different characters and it took place during the Victorian age, I thought, I was thinking, you know what? This is almost like the Clue game, the detective who done it. And, and like a soap opera. And you can make it into one. I mean, that's what stories are all about, right? Is somebody's life. That's why the reality shows are so good and famous right now and very popular. So let's go ahead and get started. So, again, the biggest mistakes that people make is trying to make Kipper behave like the tarot and like the Lenormand card system. Of course, Kipper has its own language. It has its own people, roles, situations, events, and environments. Now, I have been reading Lenormand for a long time, uh, and I have tried the tarot, but I have difficulty with it. Sometimes when you pick up a new card system, it just does not work with your energy. And that's how I am with tarot. So, and it doesn't mean I didn't practice enough. And so I think the more that you practice, the energy will flow better. But for some reason, tarot and I just do not have a relationship. So whenever you're looking at the Kipper cards, you need to not ask, what does this card symbolize? But what is happening in the card system, the cards that are being shown to you. So, three systems, three different lenses. So, the tarot is an archetype, inner experience, spiritual or psychological themes. The Lenormand is a symbol, a combination, and has a concise message. And you can get that message very quickly. But with the Kipper cards, you're looking at people, a person, situations, events, and unfolding story, which could be a soap opera. You just never know. All right. So, whenever you have questions for the cards, it still needs to be open ended, just like the Lenormand. So, you might ask whenever you're reading tarots, what does this experience mean? Where the Lenormand is, you may ask, what are these symbols saying together? And then the Kipper, you might ask, what is happening in this situation? And you always want to begin with concrete before you go into more abstract whenever you're reading them. So Kipper is definitely situational. You look first for an actual person, place, circumstance, event, agreement, message, journey, work situation, or relationship. Kipper often feels like decoding a symbol and more like observing a scene. So it's less like decoding a symbol and more like observing a scene. Ask who is here, what are they doing, what is changing, and what situation is developing. So it does tell stories within real time. So it's looking at your energy, the time, or your client's energy, the time that you read for them. The people matter. Of course, we have to have all our people. So a person card does not automatically represent the client. So whenever the main female comes out, the card is right in front of you. You don't assume automatically that's going to be your client because it could represent a partner, family member, coworker, employer, authority figure, or another person influencing the situation. You need to identify the role the person is playing in a relationship to the question. Then notice how the person interacts with the surrounding cards. So Kipper tells the story of real life through the people in it. Don't list meanings. Tell me what is happening. So, whenever you're looking at the little book, it does give you information that comes with the cards. So, the main female is like a woman, a female, or a quadrant, or a significant person. A meeting, a connection, courtship, or interaction. Marriage means marriage or commitment, contract, or formal union. So, the possible story with these three cards could be a significant relationship or meeting may developing towards a more serious commitment. This is when you say, all right, it's time to marry me. That's the meeting. Okay, so we could turn it into all sorts of soap operas, couldn't we? So the question defines the story. So here we go with the question. And we just talked about the relationship question. But if it was a career question that was asked and these cards came up, the same cards could describe a meeting or a professional connection leading to a formal agreement or partnership. So you're changing the whole context at that time. Direction also can add information to your reading. So, what is the character looking toward? What is behind the character? Or two people facing one another or turning away? So, it does add another layer to your reading. Now, many times in the Kipper card, what the rule is depending on the male and the female, whatever way that they're facing, which is two different things, the past or the present. We're not going to go into that. I have another video on that. So we're mainly going to discuss what happens when the male and the female are turned different directions from each other. So like the first one, the characters back to back, it is sign of position of argument. So they are turned away from each other. This can suggest distance, disagreement, misunderstanding, or emotional separation. So if they are facing one another, obviously, is a sign of harmonious interaction. So in other words, they're definitely either together or they're able to talk to one another. They're facing each other. This can suggest communication, connection, cooperation, attraction, and mutual understanding. So, what does intuition? Because I know many times I explain that you need to use your intuition whenever you're using cards. Yes. But always, of course, you got to do the root system and honor the system that the Kipper cards have. But you also need to add your intuition in it. It just makes it such much magical reading. So these are the things that you use your intuition with is the character's expression. Is it catching your attention? Can you keep looking at a particular object on the card? The distance between two characters feels significant. A particular card seems unusually important. You're being drawn to it. A word, phrase, feeling, or impression comes to mind. You can acknowledge that information without abandoning the traditional reading. Because you're still grounded in the cards, and the intuition simply is just adding another layer. So, with all of this, this will help you. This is kind of like a cheat sheet whenever you're doing a Kipper card reading. And again, you can change it, let it work, in your favor, whatever works for you. So, but this is just a suggestion. So, like number one, what is the question first? You need to really analyze the question, make sure it is open ended and not a yes no question. So, what are we asking? Establish a context before interpreting. So, many times when your client comes with a question, you may not understand it fully. So, you need to really make sure clearly know what the client is asking. Because it does mess up with the cards and the energy and everything if it's a different question. People, who is involved? Identify the characters and their possible roles. Situation. What appears to be happening? Look at the literal circumstances first. Interaction number 4. How do the cards affect one another? Don't interpret each card in isolation. They are very connected. The energy is flowing through the cards. Number 5, direction. Where are the people looking or moving? What are they facing or turning away from? Story. This is my favorite one. Story, putting everything together. Turn the cards into one clear sentence or narrative. And the more cards you have, the clearer the story will be. Now, intuition. What else catches your attention? Only after you read the cards make whether something stands out. So, what we're going to do is we're going to do a practice exercise, and we're going to take exactly that cheat sheet, and I want you to follow it. So, this is an actual reading that I gave. So, the question is, what action can my husband and I take this month to build a closer bond? So I want you to go through these questions. You may pause the video so that you can do this exercise. No cheating involved. And so number 1 question, establish the content, look at the question. Number 2, people who is involved. Situation, what appears to be happening. Number 4, interaction, how do the cards affect one another. Number 5, direction, are the people looking or moving? Or expressions? Oh, I guess that's direction. Sorry. Story comes with emotions. Turn the cards into one clear sentence or narrative. And then intuition, is there anything else that these cards catches your attention? So pause the video. And also, if you want to, write down what you got in the comment section, because I'd just be really curious what you received. All right, so these are the answers. This is telling you the answer. So if you haven't done it yet, go pause the video and stop it. Okay. So the question is establishing the context. We want to know what action we can take this month to strengthen and deepen our relationship. And they're only talking in the month. So this month. Who is involved? Now, the cards didn't really have a main character on it, but this reading it was about my client and her husband. Okay. The situation, what appears to be happening? Something has been ending or coming to a close, which is the coffin, and it has been taking time, energy, or joy away from your relationship. So whenever I brought down the coffin, my client goes, "Ooh, that doesn't look so good." It doesn't have to be a very negative card, okay? So interaction, how do the cards affect each other? So the coffin shows what needs to end. The gift shows what will help you connect. And the thief reveals what has been stealing from your relationship. And the gift is in the middle. So the middle card always has all the energy. So the gift is really showing you, if you look at the whole situation, your relationship will turn into the greatest gift you've ever had. So the direction, are the people looking or moving? The thief is looking back. I know it's really hard to look at this little card. Suggesting you may be aware of what's been taking your attention. And it's time to turn away from it and move forward together. So the thief is stealing things from the relationship. Story, turn the cards into one clear sentence or narrative. Put an end to something that has been stealing your time or energy from each other, and intentionally replace it with something meaningful and enjoyable, and give to one another. I absolutely love that. So this is just some intuition. Is there anything else about these cards that catches your attention? The gift is centered between the coffin and the thief, a reminder that when you remove distractions and endings, you make space for love, appreciation, and connection. So see how all of this it's very positive. It's kind of a negative question, almost saying, I don't feel like I'm very close to my husband. but it turns into such hope. And that's what people need. They need to know that there is hope in their relationship. Because I can't tell you how many times people have come and they go, I want a reading because I think I'm about to leave my husband. And they just need some hope and some direction. So remember to definitely add compassion to your readings as well. So the final takeaway with tarot, what does this experience mean? Lenormand is all about what are these symbols saying together. In Kipper, what is happening in the situation. So remember, whenever you embrace reading Kipper and have relationship with the Kipper way. Don't force Kipper to speak tarot or Lenormand. Let Kipper speak Kipper. It's almost like you need to speak your truth. So Kipper needs to speak the truth as a card. All right. See, you never know what I'm going to teach about once I get everything onto the screen and into the PowerPoint. So I hope that you learned something today, and you may want to use those 7 steps to help you through the reading. And it is like a cheat sheet. You can get your phone and take a picture of it and practice, 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 practice. Because the more you practice, the easier it will become, and your relationship with these cards will strengthen, and you'll feel the energy flow as you bring them out to do reading for a client. All right, everybody. I hope you enjoyed this, and happy Kipper reading.